Hello, my name is Marcus Williams, and nice to meet you today. And I
Hi,
just wanted to first off asking, where are you right now?
I'm in Ottawa.
You're in Ottawa. Are you at home or at work?
I'm at home.
You're at home, okay. And I just wanted to confirm your phone number. It's 613-000-0000.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So I just wanted to start off with saying that everything that we talk about in this session is completely confidential. But there are some exceptions by law that I have to report if any information, okay? So the first one is if there's any danger to yourself or any imminent harm to yourself. The second is if there's any danger or harm to somebody else. The third one is if there's any form of abuse, including physical or emotional, to a child under 16 years of age or an adult over 65 years old, I must report it as well. In some cases, I may be subpoenaed to release some files that may include your information. This would be done by a court or a regulatory body. If there's any information regarding inappropriate relations with a health professional, I must also report that, okay?
Okay.
Is there any questions so far?
You talked about subpoena. I'm not really I'm not really sure. Am I going to court on this or what? Like, I'm not sure.
No, it's if there's any legal actions in the future and they request files on you for the case. Of course, I'll only give them information pertaining to their questions. I won't give them the whole file, but by law, I must release those documents to
Okay.
the court, okay?
Yeah,
Have you had a chance to look at the service agreement?
I have. Yeah.
You have? Okay, did you have any questions, including the fees?
No, I think it's all pretty clear.
It's all pretty clear. Okay. If you ever wanted to negotiate the fee, you have to talk to the counseling center for that, the admin. Okay.
So I can negotiate the fee?
Based on certain criteria, yes, but it's through the admin with the counseling session. Okay. Counseling center. I also wanted to state that this session is being recorded for training purposes. Is that okay with you?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Perfect.
think they told me about that in advance. So
In advance. Okay, perfect. For that case, I have a supervisor and colleagues who will look at this video. And so I just wanted to make sure that you do not know these individuals. So my supervisor is Rosalind McLean, who's a registered psychotherapist. And my colleagues are Julia Hallman and Joe Holobowicz.
yeah, no, don't know them.
No? Okay. Therefore, so what brings you in today?
Well, I'm I guess I'm not sure if I want to stay with my wife or not.
Okay.
So um
Can you give me 1 second, actually? Just 1 second. I'm going to have to stop recording
yeah.
and I'll edit it after. So sorry for that, Joe. I just had some technical difficulties. So you were saying,
I think it's still paused. It says paused on.
oh, it's recording.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, I was just kind of saying I'm not sure if I want to stay with my wife or not. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we've been married for like 34 years, and I'm just not sure if I want to stick with it anymore.
Mm-hmm. When did you start having these feelings or thoughts towards your wife?
Well, we actually split up about 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we were separated for oh maybe 3 years, and we got back together. Um, so it's kind of been lingering for like many, many, many years, but it's just come back. Like we never split up formally or got divorced, more because of we have kids and stuff. And um, so anyway, I'm just now at a stage where I'm like, I don't know if this is the relationship I'm destined to have, the only one for my life, and or if I should move on.
Mm-hmm. It's a really strong feeling. And do you know when specifically that started for you? Was there anything going on at that time?
Well, yeah, when we split up, like way back, I left her. Um, and it sounds harsh, right? But I left her. She's a terrific lady. But I'm just not as attracted to her as I was when we first got married. And so I kind of had an affair and moved on. Well, I didn't move on, but I had an affair, and then that kind of split us up for a little while, for a few years. And we reconciled maybe 12 years ago, and it's just it's like I'm going through the motions in life. It's not like I am really thrilled in this relationship.
Mm-hmm. Can you discuss exactly what you guys negotiated when reconciling at that time?
Well, it's funny because there wasn't a heck of a lot that was negotiated. It was her really wanting me back to come back to the family. I always, even though we split up, I was always very involved with the family. It's just that I had a girlfriend, so I was not living in the family home. And so kind of, I went back kind of when my girlfriend and I split up. And so, and my wife had never moved on, and she was quick to say I should move back. And so I did.
Mm-hmm. And what did you feel at that time moving back? What emotions were you experiencing?
Well, I think the guilt I lived with when I was separated was huge. And so I was almost a feeling of relief moving back. I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. So moving back was actually probably a healthy thing for me in a lot of ways, but it didn't change who I am, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I moved back the same person who moved out, just in a different just a different situation, because I moved out because I had a girlfriend, someone who I was more attracted to and someone who I had more fun with, I guess. And then when that didn't work out, that sent me, I guess, a message that maybe I should go back. I mean, my kids were hurt when I left. My wife was hurt. My in-laws were hurt. Even my dad. My dad was really not happy with my decision back then. So moving back, I got everyone back in a good mood about me, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So just for me to understand, being with this new person, it was fun and exciting, but then going back to your wife was more kind of like it made everyone else happy, but not you. You weren't happy at that point. Is that correct?
That's actually, I hadn't thought of it that way, because I thought of it as me being happy because I didn't have the guilt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the guilt probably was because everyone else was unhappy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm. So 12 years later, how did these thoughts precipitate? How did they come up again?
Well, because I don't find I want to have an intimate relationship with my wife, yet I want intimate relationships. But so I'm still kind of looking out, right? I'm looking outside of my wife for that intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting that intimacy, but it's like I'm looking for it, and it's not, because I don't want it from my wife.
Yeah, you don't want to do it. Did you by chance confide with other people about how you feel? Does, friends or family members know about
Yeah,
this?
I guess, yeah, 3 or 4 of my friends have been pretty I've been open with this to 3 or 4 of my friends. Um, 1 or 2 of them think I'm an idiot for this, and the other ones don't seem to. I don't know. I don't know if they just don't share their opinion much or what. But They hear me out, but they don't necessarily think I'm doing the right thing or a wrong thing. So.
Mhm. And has what the information that they gave you, did that, increase your feelings towards seeing other people or decrease them?
Um,
Did that encourage you to seek other women or
no,
want you to be with your wife more?
no, it's just like, because they're my hockey buddies. And so we
Mm-hmm.
will kind of go out for wings after playing hockey. And, guys are guys, and some guy, we joke about it. And there's lots of jokes that fly around, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that there's any, I don't think I'll change by talking to these guys. Like, I don't think they're going to tell, I don't think I'm going to get some aha moment by these guys, but I do share it because, um, I don't know. I guess I find relief in not hiding, in not hiding my thoughts. But
Mm-hmm.
um, so it's not really. I don't know how to explain that, but not really like I'm going to rely on their opinion to make my decisions, which is probably why I'm decided to come here. Because I
Mm-hmm.
really, I don't know what to do, and I don't really, I don't know who to talk to about it. So
Mm-hmm. Just for me to get this right, so you're having these strong emotions and then talking to your hockey buddies about it. It's like a release, right? Am I kind of right with that
yeah, yeah.
and how you feel? Okay. Have you thought about talking to anybody outside your family or friends about this, besides me, of course?
No, no.
Mm,
I don't talk about it within the family, obviously, for obvious reasons.
yeah.
Um, and so, no. So I guess these are the people that I can actually um, either vent to or bounce ideas off of. But it's pretty superficial stuff. It's the boys after hockey. It's not like I'm getting some kind of wonderful insight from anybody, right? So,
Mm. Um, do you mind talking about your current family situations other than your wife? Do you have children? Do you have close grandparents, parents?
so yeah. So I have um, two sons. Um, One is 33, and he lives in Barrie. And then my other son, who's 31, and he's in Ottawa. He actually he works for me, so he's my right hand man at work.
Mm,
So kind of a family business. Um, so yeah, and I'm really tight with both my boys.
mm,
We've got a great relationship, which was repaired when I moved back. And I'm a little bit uh, fearful that I don't know what the future holds. But if I don't want to ruin my relationship with my sons.
mm,
Um, my dad passed away about 5 or 6 years ago. So, um, and my mom passed away years and years ago. So, and I have a brother as well, who's
mm,
I'm really quite close to. We're water skiers, and he and I go water skiing as partners regularly. So,
mm. So you're very close with your children and your brother. And do you think that kind of stems, like you were saying, the guilt if you were to leave your wife? How would my children think? How would my brother think? Still kind of comes up to mind, right?
totally,
Yeah.
totally, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And I'm really really close with my wife. Like we do everything together. The only thing is I'm just not attracted to her. And because otherwise, and that's why people think I'm an idiot sometimes, because they go, "What are you thinking?" She's a wonderful lady, and she is a phenomenal mom, and does it like she has never done anything bad. She's been supportive of me. She took me back. Like she's almost saintly.
Hmm.
But I just don't have the same feelings for her that she does for me.
Yeah. And that's really difficult because it plays in with your guilt feelings as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you found this situation similar with any of your friends or family? Did any of your family members say they had the same, issue with their wife, or their friends? Your friends had the same issues with their wives?
I don't, well, I think yes and no. I think anyone, any one of my friends or family, they go through moments where they question whether their marriage is what they really want and for their life.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them or all of them seem to have that as fleeting moments and not as long-standing, decades-long feelings. So I don't know that they understand, because they snap out of it. They go through a week or a month or a few days of not having that same energy or that same vibe in their relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but they seem to rebound, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
don't.
not as enduring, like you're
Yeah,
saying. Yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't last as long. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't know how to equate that. I don't. I can't. Like I think they have it in spurts, but they don't have it in decades.
Years long. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You were discussing your occupation with your children. Can you discuss about a little bit about your work or your education as well?
Sure. Well, I after high school, I started university, but never finished.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I run a construction company. So it's a small construction company. We do renovations and we do commercial work. Um, but there's really only about, well, with COVID right now, there's my son and I and one other worker. When things are booming, we might have 3 or 4 other workers. So it's not a big company.
Mm-hmm.
That's where and I'm a little older, so I've stepped away from doing a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And my son is kind of doing what I did for many years, kind of the foreman, the chief guy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And do you work most of the time of the week, or part-time, or
Well,
some
well,
occasionally?
they work all the time. They work regular kind of construction hour. I don't anymore. I normally start work around 6, but I'll often, depend, especially in the summertime, I'll often cut out at about maybe 1 in the afternoon or so and call it a day, knowing that the job's going well, and that gives me a time to do a lot of water skiing and a lot of I'm kind of an athletic kind of guy. I do a lot of outdoor stuff, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm. Would you
now there
consider?
are some days where I work long days, but my general routine is to have shorter days now than I did for many years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You were just discussing sports. You would you consider yourself athletic in terms of your sports?
Oh, very much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I do lots of like a water ski and I snow ski and I play hockey,
Mm-hmm.
um, mountain bike, I kayak. I live on the river, right? So I do a lot of water sports.
Mm-hmm. How often do you play and do your sports?
Oh, like every day I do something. Every day.
Every day, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every day. Now I don't do it all every day, but in the winter I'll probably play hockey 3 or 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll skiing a little bit less these days, but maybe 3 times a month. I always go on a ski trip every year. Me, my brother, and I, and a bunch of friends do a ski trip. So, and that's normally for 2 weeks in February.
Mm-hmm. And during that time that you're working or doing sports, are those feelings of separating from your wife coming up? Do
Never.
those issues come up? Okay.
No, no, that's like my release. I think it's a time where I just do my thing and I kind of block out the world when I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm. Would you describe those, your work and your sports as distractions, kind of? They kind of get you away from it?
Uh, no, I think that they're probably a distraction, but they're also I mean, I've always been active like that. So since I was a kid, sports, activities. So if I didn't have that, I think I'd go crazy. So I think it's good for me physically and it's good for me mentally.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of physical and mentally, do you have any medical conditions or are you on medication of any sorts?
No, well, I mean, no, I'm not on any medications. I have physical limitations. I've had some operations on my shoulder and my knee. So there's some physical stuff that comes with sports and getting older,
Mm-hmm.
but no, nothing that stops me really from doing what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. And nothing strong as like caffeine or tea or any of those things,
No,
right?
I don't really drink coffee. I do um the only thing I really do is like I quit smoking quite a few years ago, and but I'm still addicted to nicotine, so I chew Nicorettes
Mm-hmm.
um, all the time. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, so
So in summary, would you describe your health quite well? Doing
for
quite well?
for a person my age, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. Yeah,
Okay. Talking about work and the sports again and how you kind of get away from those thoughts. If you're not experiencing the thoughts during those times, when are those thoughts very strong? When do those emotions start bubbling up really strongly?
I would say when I'm home,
Mm-hmm.
and we're doing the family thing, and I'm loving the family and going, but I'm not in love with her.
Yeah.
So that's when I started feeling, oh my God, and the responsibility of being the one that hurts so many people if I make a move. And I saw that 15 years ago when I made the move, and I saw how I hurt everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I really um, it tends to wear at my brain when I'm home.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me an example of when that happens
Like at the dinner table every day.
at the dinner table?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then mostly in the evenings, because my days I get up and I go to work, and if I cut out of work early, I'm doing an activity of some sort. So it's
Yeah.
normally when the day winds down, dinner time, and then evening. And my sons, although one son lives out of town, the other one lives, the one who I work with, he lives close by, so he's over a fair bit um, to the house. But I'm really at home with my wife, right?
Yeah.
That's our dinner, and that's the evening time.
Mm-hmm. So after dinner and you know, you guys separate, do your thoughts decrease? Do they increase? Is there any spaces in the house that you kind of find you can hide from those feelings, or those feelings are not there?
I wouldn't put it on the space in the house. I would put it on. Um, this sounds harsh, I think, but I would put it on proximity of my wife. So if she goes out with the girlfriends or um, to the book club meeting that she goes to, that I don't feel the guilt quite as badly. It's just when we're around each other, and I just it wears away at me. So it's mostly when she's in close proximity.
Mm-hmm. That those emotions come up.
Yeah, or when she wants me to join her with something I really don't want to do with her, right? It's whenever I don't know how to. I think it's whenever I'm forced one on one with her and forced to talk or share what I'm thinking, or in an activity that I'm not really interested in doing. I just don't have that motivation to share or to be part of something. I mean, I guess I do it, but I feel guilty. And then if I don't do it, I feel even more guilty.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe any remedies that you've tried in the past? Like, you know, those feelings, those emotions are high, high, high. What do I do right now? What have you done typically?
Typically, sports.
Sports.
So, and I used to run marathons. So, although I can't really with my knees anymore, but for years, if I just got a feeling of guilt or anxiety or whatever, I'd put the running gear on and I'd go for a long run.
Mm-hmm. Does that still help you, presently?
Well, because I can't really run like that anymore. I don't do it nearly as often. I do it on a bike sometimes. I have a mountain bike and a road bike. So sometimes I do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's normally physical activity that I rely on when my head is kind of in a fog.
Yeah. And with the previous injuries to your legs, if I'm correct, has that enabled you to stop certain sports
It hasn't really caused me to stop other than running.
other
And
than
even that,
running?
I'll run maybe a 5K run, but I used to run 20K, 15K, 20K. I used to build up to run marathons.
Mm-hmm.
So running would be, you know, minimum an hour every day for
Yeah.
years. Now it might be my long run might be a half hour.
Mm-hmm. Were you ever with friends whenever you used to do sports or still do sports, sorry?
Well, most of the time, yeah.
Most of
Because
the time.
first of all, water skiing is something I do a lot of, and you have to have a spotter in the boat, and you have to have a driver, right? So you've got to have friends or people with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the only thing I really did alone or do alone is biking and running, but the running is not so much anymore.
Yeah.
And the biking more often than not is alone. Sometimes I'll have a buddy join me, or I have a neighbor too that has a bike. Sometimes we'll go for a bike ride. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, it's hockey, which is team sport. It's skiing, which is normally with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Are you part of any like sport communities or community organizations, any of that sorts?
well, just through leagues, like so the hockey leagues, right? And I'm also on a water ski association. I'm a member of a water ski association. Um, so, but I don't really go to those meetings and stuff. Like it's more about I'm part of it because I like to support the sport, but I don't
Yeah.
compete anymore. I used to compete. I don't compete, and I don't. Um, I don't necessarily hang with that group that much.
Mm-hmm. But it's still fun to go. Am I correct? It's still
Yeah,
fun to go and speak to people and have fun.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. So generally, you would say your social network is quite well.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Is any of your family involved in some of the organizations that you go to?
Well, I play hockey with my son who I work with. We're on two teams together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me playing with a bunch of his friends. So which is kind of cool. The old man playing with the young guys, right?
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, no. I mean, my kids ski and water ski, but I don't necessarily do it with them. They do
Mm-hmm.
their thing. My sons like to do wakeboard rather than water ski, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
So you have,
no,
yeah. So you have your activities, your children have their activities, your wife has her activities. So everyone has kind of something that they go to.
yeah, yeah, very much so.
Um, Speaking of activities, do any of them include any like going to church or any religious organizations by chance?
No, not really. I grew
Oh,
up kind of going to church a little bit. My mom used to go to church, but no, it's not something that I incorporate into my weekly routine or monthly or yearly.
mm-hmm. Okay. Were you raised in, a religious background or not? Was religion important for your parents or no?
More from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went to Catholic school. I was baptized and I was confirmed and had a first communion. And my mom went to church. Um, but when I grew up, even as a teenager, I didn't really go to church much, and I was never forced to. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So generally, spirituality is just, it's not as present in your life presently?
no, not really.
No. Okay. Is it present in your wife in terms of her activities and her day-to-day life?
Not really. Like she grew up on the Quebec side, so she's also Catholic, but she doesn't go to church either. It's not something that we really have conversations about, and it's not something we practice, or she practices alone either. She doesn't go to church Sunday, and I don't go. She doesn't go either. So
Mhm. So to summarize, generally the presenting problem is you're having these strong emotions towards, your wife, the guilt, and that attraction is just not there. The attraction was there, in the first years, and after a few years it wasn't there. You met someone else and, decided to come back to your wife because of those guilty feelings towards family and her were coming up. But now those feelings, that unattraction is bubbling up now.
yeah,
Um,
again, yeah.
yeah. And would you describe them as strong as before or weaker than before?
I'm gonna say weaker than before,
Okay.
but they're still there, you know.
Mhm. Can you describe why it may be weaker than before? Or, things that kind of help mitigate them?
Well, I don't know about mitigating. I think they're weaker probably because um, I don't know. I really, I can't really say for sure why. I'm a
Yeah.
little older, maybe a little bit less spontaneous, a little bit less um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, impulsive. So, and I think I was more impulsive 15 years ago, and I jumped at an opportunity when I had um, my girlfriend, who was quite a bit younger than me, and now like, it's not like there's a girl on the picture right now. It's that's not what this is about. It's just more about me going. I'm not. It's like in some ways, it's like Groundhog Day in my life.
Hmm. Hmm. Uh, would would you say your wife has any, ideas about how you're feeling? Do you think she has insight and what you're thinking and what you're feeling?
Um, I'm sure she does,
Mhm.
but she never asks about it. But I'm sure she knows when I don't want to make love or when I don't want to have the intimate relationship that she's looking for. Um, but it's been this way since for 15 years, right?
Yeah,
So it's I think she's conditioned to it, and I think
yeah,
she's afraid to get into the conversation. And I'm glad because I'm afraid to get in the conversation too.
yeah. It's too intense right now.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
So moving forward for next week, because we are running out of time today, what is something important that you'll take away from this session?
Um, well, I don't know if there's one thing. It's been good to talk to someone about it at a different level than with my buddies over wings after a hockey game.
Hmm.
But so I guess there was a relief today. I don't know that I have any aha moment right now, but
Hmm.
um,
And generally, how do you feel right now prior to coming into this session and now leaving? How do you feel right now?
um, I feel I guess I feel in a way good and good because I've been thinking about talking to someone about this for a long time and I never did it. So at least it's a step to a future that I'm not sure of, but at least
Hmm.
I've taken a step. And so
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Joe, for today. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Marcus.
Thank you.